So a class of 26 students each recorded the distance in kilometers traveled to school. The distance to the nearest kilometers is recorded below. So each student, or each of the 26 students, recorded the distance that they had to travel to school. So these are the distances. So the first thing we're going to do now is let's complete this column quickly. To find the midpoint between any two values, we simply add the end values and divide by 2. So we add 1 plus 5, divide our answer by 2. And what do we get there? 6 over 2, which is 3, correct? So the midpoint is 3. 6 plus 10, that's what?
16.
Divided by 2?
8.
8.
11 plus 15?
26.
Divided by 2? Divide the last digit by 2.
13.
Right. Now,
2.5.
right. And look at what this one will be what? 36, right? 18.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. You realize that how much more than 1 is 3?
2.
How much more than 6 is 8?
2.
11. 13 than 11.
Same 2.
All right. So we can actually just do what to each of these lower limits?
Add 2.
Add 2.
Subtract 2.
Well, we can subtract 2 from the upper limit. Yes, we could do that. But to the lower limit, we can add 2. Notice that 1 plus 2 is 3, 6 plus 2 is 8, 11 plus 2 is 13, 16 plus 2 is 18, 21 plus 2 is
24.
What is this one?
28.
This one.
32.
This one.
38.
Right.
38.
So yes, you can add the lower limit plus the upper limit and divide by 2. But just remember this, that it's the center you're looking for. The value that's directed between the lower limit and the upper limit. And just add in 2 more. Because 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 2 is 5. 6 plus 2 is 8, and 8 plus 2 is 10. So we realize these are the mid numbers. In other words, the midpoint, the class midpoint. Okay, but the frequency is what we're paying interest in now. Now, CXC may give you these, and you have to put the values in the frequency column. Or they will not give you these values, and they'll put them in for you just like that. And you can figure it out, the rest out, okay? So let me ask you some question then. What should be here in 1 to 5 grouping? How many students do we have in the 1 to 5 who travel a distance of 1 kilometer to 5 kilometers? How many students? Let's see. This is 1 student who travel a distance between 1 and 5 kilometers, right? 1. Only 1 student?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So put 1 there. If back in primary school, you probably have a tally column where you put 1, 1, 1, 5, and the fifth one, you just put a slash across it. But we're not doing that here. Okay, 6 to 10.
2.
Let's go across and see. We have 1 here. Let's cross this out. 1 there. 6 to 10. Another here. We have any more? No. That's 2. Okay, what about 11 to 15? That's 1. Let's cross these out just in case. 1 is 11, right? 11
4.
to 15. 2.
4.
3.
4.
4. It looks like 4, right?
Yes, sir.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 16 to 20. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, 5 because you're not 18.
Huh? Oh, yeah, 6. Thank you, son. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next one. 21 to 25. I'm gonna cross this out quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 21 to 25. How many we have? 4,
6.
5, 6. Look like 7.
7 you count.
7.
Yeah.
So if you cross it
1,
out, you can use it again?
2. No, because they only fall in one category.
Oh,
Right, they only fall in one category. You only want the person between these, right? They won't be able to appear in
oh.
another category. What about 26 to 30? 26 to 30.
3.
3, 1,
Yes.
2, 3. Yeah, 3. What about 31 to 35?
2.
1, 2. What about 36 to 40?
1.
1.
Yeah, 1. All right, but when we add them up, how much should we get?
26.
20, because you have 26 students, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this symbol is what we call the sum symbol. It means the sum of the values that we have here. The name of it is sigma. Some of the frequencies should give us what? 26.
Sir, can you please post the video?
I will
I'd
try.
like to go over it after. Thank you.
I'll do my best to. Cumulative frequency. How did anybody remember to do the cumulative frequency from what I did the last time? Everybody remember?
It's not you add the midpoint or something.
No. Midpoint has nothing to do with cumulative frequency. Remember what the word says? Cumulative what?
Frequency.
Frequency. And cumulative, when you think about the word cumulative, what it sounds like you're saying? Give me another word that sounds
Adding.
close. Accumulate, right?
Accumulating.
Right, so you're accumulating the frequencies. So we're working only with the frequencies. Right? Only?
Also, you add the frequencies.
Yes. You're accumulating the frequencies. So in the first row, you'll have 1 here, you should have a 1 here. They will always be the same in the first row. So what it's saying here, the students that walk a distance of 1 kilometer to 5 kilometers, we only have 1 student. Alright, in the class, 1 kilometer to 5 kilometers, we only have 1 student. Cumulative frequency though, it always start at 1 at the very first the very first class, the lower limit of the first class. So we're gonna pin it here. We're gonna pin it right there. You know, pin. If you have a YouTube channel and you pin a comment, that comment remains at the top. So we're pinning this 1 right here. So with the cumulative frequency, we're gonna pin this lower limit here in the first class. All right, and then we're gonna keep on adjusting the upper limit. All right, so let me explain that. I'm just trying to explanation to see if it can actually work for you guys. So in the first class, which is this one, 1 to 5, how many persons do we have? 1. We're not focusing on midpoint. Midpoint is not. This is not why we did the midpoint. We're looking at the frequency. This is what we're looking at for the cumulative frequency. We have 1 person in the class, 1 to 5. All right. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to move this upper limit and change the upper limit now to 10. So we're going from 1 to 10. How many persons do we have who have to travel a distance of 1 to 10 kilometers? How many persons?
3.
3 persons. Everybody understand that? How many persons we have that travel a distance of 1 to 10 kilometers? 3 persons. How we got 3 persons? Oh, you got 3 persons.
I added the 1 and the 2.
Very good. So basically you add this 1, right? And the 2. And you get what? 3. Everybody get that?
Yeah.
Because from 1 to 5, you only have 1 person. And 6 to 10, you have 2 persons. So if you're going from 1 to 10, if you're counting up both classes, the number of persons in both classes combined is 3 persons. All right, so we're going to do now, we're going to do what? Adjust this. And we're going to check to see how many persons do we have, right? Traveling a distance of 1 kilometer to 15 kilometers. How many persons?
7.
7.
7. Yes. How you did that? I calculate that.
3 and 4.
Right. So
Yeah.
this, yeah. So in other words, in this class we have 1 person. In this second class we have 2. In the third class we have 4. So in the 3 classes we just did, we have 1 plus 2 plus 4. That's 7. All we can do is simply add the 3 previously to the 4, and we get 7. What about this one? Going from what?
13.
From 1 to 20. 13. So we're going to basically do what? We have 7 in the previous class, right? And in this new class, 16 to 20, we have 6 persons. And 7 plus 6 will be 13. Very good. What about this one?
20.
From 1 to 25. From 1 to 25, how many persons we have? 20. Very good.
20.
From 1 to 30, how many persons we have?
20.
Right. We add to 20,
23.
3, and that will give us 23. And the next one, how much we should have in the next one?
25.
We end up at 26.
25.
And then
Very good.
26 like numbers of students.
And that will give us 26. You're right. So the last figure in the cumulative frequency column, not in the frequency column, but in the cumulative frequency column, should be the same as the total of frequencies, right? If you don't get the same amount with these two guys here, then something is off. Right? So the last value, in other words, from 1 in the first class, if you add up all the classes, you should get a total of students, 26. Going from the very first class, the lower limit, and to the very last class, the upper limit, you get 26 students. All right. Easy or hard, Anisha?
Easy.
Okay, here's this one now. So we're not the only thing we use the midpoint for is when we're calculating the mean, okay, Anisha? We use the midpoint.
Yes, sir.
But otherwise we're not using it. All right, so focus on just the frequencies and cumulative frequency. All right, so here's this one. State the modal class. Mode means what? The most, right? So which class has the most persons in it? Which one of these classes? 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15. So I want the modal class. The class is what I'm looking for. So you have to state something to something, huh?
25.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's the one that has the most person in it. There are 7 persons in it. So that's the class. Which class is that? 21 to 25. Why? Because it has the most person. See about most, you think about mode. Okay, state the upper limit and the lower limit of the class 31 to 35. Which one is the lower limit? Which one is the upper limit? Easy question for 1 mark each.
31 is the lower limit. 35 is the upper limit.
See?
I'm not 35.
Yeah, Mr. Lennon Triple, he wants to sleep.
No man, but I'm pushing it still. Brain have to work. Upper should be 35. Lower should be what? 31. Okay. What is the mean distance traveled in kilometers? Okay, let's go, guys. What's the mean distance traveled in kilometers? How are we gonna find that?
So what is mean?
For instance, if you are like 140 pounds, right? And Mikkel is 150 pounds. And Teresia is 145 pounds. and Miracle is 130 pounds. Just random numbers. What is the let me choose one more person. And Angel Javier is 140 pounds. Right? And let's see who else. And Angel Drew is 140 pounds. How do you find the mean of this?
Add all the numbers and divide by the amount of persons.
Right. So what would you add? Rather than saying 140 plus 150 plus 145 plus 130 plus 140 plus 140, then just simply say what? 140 times what? 3. Understand that? So when you're multiplying 140 by 3, what you're really saying is 140 plus 140 plus 140. You're adding 140 3 times. So you will produce the same answer. Right? Understand that?
Yes, sir.
And 150. Let's say this was 152. Maybe what? 150 times what? Times 2, right? The same as adding 150 plus 150, which is 300. Understand that?
Yes, sir.
And then we have what? 130 remaining. Right? 130 just by itself. Or we can say 130 times 1. Or just put it as just 130. Divided by what? The 3 plus the 2 plus the 1, that's 6, right? And that will give us the mean. Right? The dash over it means the average of the data values, which mean the mean. Alright? You understand that now? What I did there?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so that's a concept.
Wait. How you get the 140 and the 150 and then something? Last like what?
Oh, I just made up an example. I just made up an example.
Oh, yeah, just good.
Okay, yeah, like what? These are the pounds of several persons in the class. And I would say rather than saying 140 plus 140 plus 140, I just say 140 times 3. And rather than saying 150 plus 150, I say 150 times 2. And we have one single 130, so 130 times 1 divided by the number, right? The same thing as saying 140 plus 150 plus 150 plus 130 plus 140 plus 140 divided by 6. But because I repeated numbers, I just multiply by the amount of times I repeated it. Okay? Okay. But
Yeah.
how can we no, it would be very tiring for us to basically add up all these 26 numbers and divide by 26. That's a lot of work. Right? So what we'll do, imagine you have 100 values. You'd have to add up all the 100 values and divide by 100. It's a lot of work. So what we do basically, since we have them grouped in classes, rather that we just take one number to represent each class. So the midpoint is just representing the class 1 to 5. So the persons who walk from 1 to 5 kilometers, we'll just do an average and say that these persons walked 3 kilometers. The person who walked from 6 kilometers to 10 kilometers, or between 6 kilometers and 10 kilometers, we just choose 8 kilometers as the what? The average distance they traveled. So all of these are just the average distances. They basically represent the distances traveled by the students. The midpoint just represent each class. So we're not gonna use 1 to 5. We're just using 3 as a midpoint. So the same thing. So we're really saying this one person here, Anisha, this one person
Yes,
here,
sir.
this one person traveled a distance of what? 3 kilometers, right?
Yes, sir.
Although it's not really 3. Is it really 3? Oh yes, it was really 3. You see, it's actually worked out. These two persons travel a distance of what? 8 kilometers, right?
Yes, sir.
But the person who traveled from 6, one person traveled 8, and the other person traveled what? Oh yeah, 8 and 6. And 8 and 6 is basically 14. And 8 and 8 is 16. So it's not really too far off. All right, so it will give us a good approximation of the real mean. So this is how we do it, Anisha. To get the mean distance is traveled. What we're gonna do? We're gonna multiply what? We're gonna multiply 1 by 8, 1 by 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we say 1 by 3. So this is one we could just simply put 3 there. We don't have to put 1 by 3. We could just simply put 3. But what's the next one? So how many persons traveled 8 kilometers? 2 persons, right?
Yes.
So it's 2 times 8. Remember the 8 just simply represent the class. 6 to 10. 4 persons traveled what? 13 kilometers, right? So 4 by 13. So 1 times 3, 2 times 8, 4 times 13. What's the next one?
6 times 18.
6 times 18. The next one?
7 times 23.
7 times 20. 23.
Yes, sir.
Next one? 3 times 28. Next one? We're adding all of them, right? 2 times 33.
38 times 1.
And 38. You can put 38 times 1. 1 times 38 times 1 doesn't matter, right? And how many persons in all?
26.
26. Yeah, 26 persons, yeah. So let's put this in the calculator for me, though, please. How much do you get over 26?
Okay, to get functional logic.
Of course. I just press equal and then add, continue adding. I want more than one of you to do it so that at least we can compare the values.
I got 528.
For the numerator or the answer, overall answer?
For the numerator.
Yeah, I got the same thing. 528, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got the same answer. Divided by 26.
20 if you're on the top.
Yeah, 20. And since they run off the values, 20.30, etc. Since they run it off in the nearest kilometers, then the answer will be approximately, the symbol mean approximately 20 kilometers. So on average, everyone traveled 20 kilometers. Average distance traveled by that particular group of people, 26 people, is 20 kilometers. All right, and that's that. Here's the last question. Calculate the probability that a student chosen at random from this class recorded the distance traveled to school as 26 kilometers or more. So the average distance is 20 kilometers, right? But you have some person who traveled more than that, and even less than that as well. But that's just the average. But it's the probability. Remember, probability is, right? Probability that the students traveled 26 kilometers or more. So the classes that recorded, actually, students who recorded the distance of 26 or more will fall in which categories? This one. What else?
31 to 35.
Anything else?
And 36 to 40.
Right. So how many students we have in this category? 26 to 30. We check the frequency.
3.
3 students. How many students we have in the 31 to 35 category?
2.
2. How many students we have in the 36 to 30?
1.
36 to 40? 1. So how many students in total recorded the distance of 26 to 40? How many students?
6.
6 students.
I'm
Sir,
not sure. I think.
sir,
Yeah? Yes, Teresium?
um,
Okay. I am lost
Okay.
from that probability stuff.
Okay. So the probability,
Yeah.
okay, the probability is basically the number of favorable outcomes, and the favorable outcomes refers to what they're asking you about over the total possible outcomes, meaning how many persons, for instance, in this example here, the total possible outcome will be all the students, basically. All right, all the students. How many students we have in total? A class of 26 students. A class of 26 students. So we have a total of how many students? 26.
26.
So they are what they're really asking, out of the 26 students, how many students recorded a distance of 26 kilometers or more? So these 3 students here, they recorded a distance of what? 26 to 30, correct?
Yes, sir.
These 2 students recorded a distance of what? 31 to 35. And this one student fall in this category, 36 to 40 kilometers. So we have a total of how many students recording distances from 26 to 40? 3, 5, 6. We have 6 students. So 6 out of 26 students recorded a distance of 26 kilometers or more. So that would be the probability, basically. You can simplify that as 3 out of 13 when we actually divide that in. If you put it in your calculator, the calculator will put it for you. 6 ABC 26, it will give you 3 over 13. If you leave it at 6 over 26, I'll still give you full mark, but you can divide both by 2 and you get 3 over 13. Alright, so that's the probability. It's like you have a coin and you're saying, okay, if I flip the coin, what's the probability that I'll get a head? If I flip a coin, what's the probability that I'll get a head?
1 out of 2, which is a 50-50.
Right? How many sides are there to the coin? What are the possibilities then? What is the possible outcome? What are the possibilities? I could get what? I could get a head. Or I could get what?
Tails.
I could get tails. So how many possible outcomes are there?
2.
2. Right? But what's a favorite outcome in terms of what I'm looking for? How many do I have? Only 1, ain't it? How many heads do I can get? Okay, how many heads are there on the coin? 1. So it's 1 out of 2. And 1 out of 2 is a half. As percentage is 50%. So in other words, there's a 50% chance of me getting a head. Or a 50% chance of me getting a tail. Got it?
Yes,
so there are 2 possible outcomes. I could get a head or a tail. So I put 2 here. And how many favorable outcome in terms of, when I say favorable outcomes, you mean like how many heads are there in a coin? It's only 1. Okay, so what are the possible outcomes? I could get what? 3 green, ain't it? There are 3 possible green I could get, ain't it? 5 possible what? Purple. And 2 possible red, right? So the number of possibilities I have is 10. But in terms of what I'm looking for, in terms of green, what are the possibilities? There are 3 possible green I could get. So it's 3 out of 10. What's the probability of me getting a purple marble?
5 out of 10.
There are 5 possible purple I could get. What are the number of possibilities? 10. And the same thing for the red. The red will be what? 2 out of 10. If you close your eyes and select one, you could select any of the 26 students. So that's 26 possibilities. But how many of the 26 students traveled over 26 kilometers or more? We have 3 students who traveled from 26 to 30 kilometers. We have 2 students who traveled in the range 31 to 35 kilometers. We have one student who traveled 36 to 40. So all these students, 3, 2, and 1, that is 6 students, would have traveled in the range of 26 to 40 kilometers, right? So the possibility of getting one of these students would be 6, because they have 6 possible, 6 persons who traveled between that range, 26 to 40. So it's 6 out of 26. So this would be the probability. Understand? Just like with the marbles, if we had 2 red marbles, it'd be 2 out of the 10 marbles. If it was the purple, since there are 5 purple marbles, then it's 5 out of the 10 marbles. Same concept. For the mean, you just multiply the midpoint by the frequencies. And when you get the total, you divide by the total amount of items that you have. In this case, 26 persons, you divide by 26, and that's it. So you multiply the frequency by the midpoint. Frequency times midpoint, frequency times midpoint, frequency times midpoint. And then you do what? You find the total and divide by 26. And then for the probability, that one is easy. Look at the total persons or total whatever amount they have. Alright? And look at what they're talking about and find how many you have in the frequency column belonging to that range. Right? Probability of a student traveling 10 kilometers or less. 10 kilometers or less. So where do you look for 10 kilometers or less, right? Look for 10 kilometers or less. So 10 kilometers or less, which classes are we looking at? Which classes are we looking at? Teresia. Where do we have 10 kilometers? Remember, these are the kilometers, you know. Distances, in kilometers, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15. These are the kilometers. Does this apply? No. This is way over 10. No. No. All these are over 10 kilometers. All these are out. What about 6 to 10? Does that fall in the category of 10 kilometers or less? Yeah. It's 10 kilometers or less. 6 to 10 is 10 or less. What about 1 to 5? Is that 10 or less? Yes. It's not 10, but it's definitely less than 10. So we have 2 categories that fall in the 10 kilometers or less category that they're asking about. But how many persons do we have in those 2 categories combined? We have 1 plus 2 persons. We have 3 persons out of 26. And that's the probability right there.